Broadcasting from behind the Second Amendment Iron Curtain in the shadows of the New York City skyline, this is Gun for Hire Radio, the voice of 1 million New Jersey gun owners, with your hosts, Sandy Berardi and Master Firearms Trainer Anthony Calandra.
The weekly gathering place for over 1 million freedom-loving gun owners. The most listened to Second Amendment broadcast in the nation. Welcome to it for the second time today.
2 doctors in the house today. We got Dr. Berardi and we have Dr. John, a.k.a. Dr. John Edeen from Doctors for Responsible Gun Ownership. Say hello.
Hey, everybody. Another Jersey boy.
Another Jersey boy.
Where are you from in Jersey, John?
I grew up in Kearney.
Wait, am I supposed to call him doctor?
You can call me whatever you want.
All right, Doc.
Don't
Not
call him late for
dinner.
dinner.
No, I know.
Doc is a big hitter for Doctors for Responsible Gun Ownership, and their website, for all you listeners out there, is DRGO.us, www.drgo.us. Doc's been communicating with Gun for Hire Radio for quite a few years now, directly with Sandy, because they have that doctor professional courtesy stuff. I'm a non-doctor maggot, so I wasn't involved in any of their communique, but I ran into John in Atlanta this year at the NRA annual meetings. We had a quick meeting in the hallway, and he's, what are you doing up in New Jersey, John? Why would you come here from, where are you from now?
I live in San Antonio, Texas.
Why would one leave Texas and come here?
Because my brother's oldest son is graduating from high school tomorrow.
What town?
In Jackson. He goes to Jackson Liberty.
Oh, cool. God bless him. God bless him. So, can you tell us about Doctors for Responsible Gun Ownership?
Sure. We're an advocacy and watchdog group that confronts anti-gun bias in medicine. We have a group of people who review, analyze, critique anti-gun publications. I like to think of us as the anti-Bloomberg School of Public Health.
Nice.
And now we have Garen Wintemute, and has one in California that just got funded by the California legislature for $5 million. So now the California taxpayers are paying for anti-gun, quote-unquote, research.
Just what they need to do.
Right.
It's always good.
So now we have to deal with Bloomberg and the state of California's taxpayers.
You know, the top bullet point on the DRGO, DRGO, it says because firearms are not a public health issue. We would agree with that, but the media and the leftists would not agree with that.
Right. You know, when you look at disease transmission, okay, you're looking at a causative agent. For instance, a virus or a bacteria. Being an infectious disease, you understand that quite well. But the gun is not the infectious agent. Okay, the criminal is the infectious agent.
Yes, amen.
And so, and really, what they're doing is they're putting the blame on an inanimate object, which cannot fight back, which cannot say, "I'm not the thing." It's a lot harder to go after the criminal, the person,
of course,
than it is to go after an inanimate object. And you and I both know that this is really all part of a big plan to disarm the populace, so that there's a balance of power on the side of the government versus the people. The thing that keeps us safe, and this is what our founders were really thinking about, was the balance of power needs to be in the hand of the populace and not in a few in the government.
So the Second Amendment wasn't written for deer hunting?
It was not written for deer hunting.
Wow.
It was written for politician hunting, actually.
It actually was.
It was last week.
Yes.
Yeah, well, we're going to get into that, aren't we, a little later. But so, John, how hard is it to get in, because a lot of doctors are anti-gun, right? I mean, when I go to my general practitioner, he sees my gun for hire tattoo or my gun necklace, he's like, I don't want to discuss it with you. You know, I can tell his loathing for me.
Well, yeah, and we know that the major medical organizations, the AMA, the American Academy of Pediatrics, American College of Surgeons, they have an anti-gun political agenda that they're supporting. And so a lot of the literature is anti-gun. You see it all the time. You know, these things about, children being, killed with guns, and they throw in suicide figures. And the age group is from 0 to 19.
Yeah.
That's
Now, when was
children.
the last time you were considered a child when you're 19?
No, my father considered me an adult when I was about 9.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
so
right.
it's when we went to work.
Go
yeah.
start the lawnmower and
Right.
mow the front lawn. No
Right.
guards, no safeties, no anything. 9 years old, right? You know,
Try not to get your
is
foot underneath.
What is this your brother?
no, it's my cousin Brian.
Brian's giggling. How old are you, Brian?
I'm 37.
Yeah,
Or, I'm
okay.
sorry, 47.
So see, he's at that age group where he left.
I would have taken you for 37.
He mowed the
That's
lawn
okay.
at 9 years old too, didn't you? Yeah, snow blower and everything.
Right.
Reach your hand in
Right.
to clear out
Right,
the jam and the
exactly.
whole bit, right? Today somebody would call DIFUS. So John, yeah, children until 19. I read a lot about that.
Right. So that's part of it. So that's part of the bias in the selection process. And this is the stuff that we point out at DRGO. When we see an article like this coming out, we'll pick it apart and we'll explain why this is a biased study, why the conclusions are, biased, and so we can pick through that stuff to give you the truth.
We're going to talk more about this. Sandy, are you interested in what he's saying? Wake up.
God.
Wake up.
Stop. Will you just stop? We'll be back.
I want to tell you about my friend Katie. Katie is a nurse, and she was attacked on her way home from work. She was totally taken by surprise, and although Katie is only 5 feet tall and 106 pounds, she was easily able to drop her 6'4", 250-pound attacker to his knees and get away unharmed. Katie wasn't just lucky that day. She was prepared. In her pocketbook, a harmless-looking lipstick, which really contained a powerful man-stopping aerosol propellant. It's not like it was in our grandmother's day. Today, just going to and from work or to the mall can have tragic consequences. The FBI says a violent crime is committed every 15 seconds in the United States, and a forcible rape happens every 5 minutes. And chances are, when something happens, no one will be around to help. It looks just like a lipstick, so no one will suspect a thing, which is important since experts say getting the jump on your attacker is all about the element of surprise. Inside this innocent-looking lipstick is the same powerful stuff used by police and the military to disarm even the most powerful armed aggressor. In fact, National Park Rangers use the very same formula that's inside this little lipstick to stop 2,000-pound vicious grizzly bears dead in their tracks. It's like carrying a personal bodyguard with you, in your purse or your pocket. Darkness brings danger. Muggers and rapists use darkness to their advantage. We all know what it's like to be walking at night and hear footsteps coming at us from behind. Who's there? If it's somebody bad, will you be protected? Your life may depend on it. My friend Katie's close call needs to be a wake-up call for all of us, myself included. Pick up a lipstick bodyguard and keep it with you always.
The world's becoming a dangerous place for us women. Lipstick Bodyguard looks just like an innocent little lipstick, but it'll instantly drop any attacker to his knees so you can get away unharmed.
And what better way to say I love you than giving the ones you love a gift to keep them safe? Lipstick Bodyguard. It looks just like a beautiful little lipstick, but just like a beautiful woman, it has the power to bring a grown man to his knees.
Lipstick Bodyguard, fear no evil. Get yours today, only at lipstickbodyguard.com.
Just follow the link on the gunforhireradio.com homepage.
No rules, no apologies, no holding back. Gun for Hire Radio, the most listened to Second Amendment broadcast in the nation. 4 years running.
And this segment is brought to you by Liberty Office Suites. LibertyOfficeSuites.com has 2 locations, one in Montville, one in Parsippany. For as little as $54 a month, you can have a professional environment and get out of your mom's basement while your dog is barking and your stepbrother's walking around the house in his robe or whatever. Support those who support us. LibertyOfficeSuites.com. Real quick one before we get to John. I posted this on the Gun for Hire Radio Twitter, which is GUN4HYR. Liberals, being illegal in this country is not a crime. Also liberals, Otto Warmbier should have respected other countries' laws. Is that not the liberal mindset?
Yeah.
Illegals in this country don't have to respect our laws, but when we go to other countries, we should respect their laws.
Right, exactly.
That's liberalism at its finest, by the way. So, Doc, let me ask you: do you meet with positive response from many doctors? Do you find that you're awakening doctors, or when you go in, probably the majority of the doctors already have they're predisposed anti-gun? Am I correct?
Not always. In fact, I'm in Texas, so there's a different mindset there.
Yeah.
See?
And so, we sit around the doctor's lounge, in the OR suite, and the doctors come in for lunch, and we have Second Amendment conversations, driven by me, of course.
Yeah.
But I've converted quite a few doctors.
Yeah.
I take them shooting. I teach them how to shoot. One of my anesthesiologists is a left-handed Orthodox Jew. He now is a member of JPFO.
Oh, great!
And he
Sounds
bought
like me.
and he bought a gun
Converted.
last year. And so we've gotten so because he sees the handwriting on the wall.
Yeah.
He understands that being disarmed and being Jewish is not a good
Not
thing.
a good combination.
No. We learned that
in World War II.
World War II.
Yeah.
And CNN reported yesterday that the police officer that was stabbed in the airport by the Canadian Muslim, he yelled something in Arabic when he stabbed the police officer in the neck. All the other news media and the FBI reported he said Allahu Akbar, but CNN said he shouted something in Arabic. So I thought maybe he said halal guys or something, but obviously it wasn't that.
Well,
Halal
halal and
guys
kosher,
are-
that's pretty close.
Yes.
Halal
Yes.
guys, isn't that a food truck?
Yes.
In,
Well, see, I'm one-track mind.
exactly.
Now,
that's
Doc,
true.
I'm going to tell you something. In Woodland Park Range, Gun for Hire, our number one medical profession represented is dentist. Okay?
Yeah, you
One
see
in
that
here.
a lot.
Our number two in here is anesthesiologist.
You see that
Number
a lot.
three is orthopedic surgeons. Then after that, it's a multitude of internists and surgeons or whatever, general practitioners.
You got a lot
But-
of general surgeons here, too.
yeah, but it's amazing how many we have. And I've had doctors share stories with me where, they go golfing, and then one day one of the foursome slips up and says, oh, yeah, when we go shooting next week, and the doctor in my place goes, wait a minute, you guys all go shooting? And he finds out later, the other three guys have been going shooting for 2 years, but they're afraid to say something to him because of the stigma, because we have to be closet gun owners. And I think your organization, like you said, you're lucky to be in Texas, but you're no different than us conservatives. We're fighting the bi-coastal elites. Is that what you see?
Oh,
you're
absolutely.
mostly fighting?
Absolutely, yeah.
Well,
In
there's
fa-
academia is, we're inculcated, right? We from the time that we're plebes, we're in academia. We come from that organization. When John and I were talking off air about that CDC study where, if you have a gun in your home, that you're more likely to be, a target of violence. Well, that came through CDC during my tenure there. And it's all bogus. I mean, we were laughing about how they did this study. Their control group was in the hood.
Yeah, it's all inner city. So,
Yeah.
If you have gangbangers,
Yeah, and they're drug
you're-
dealers. Yeah, your
Yeah.
chances of getting shot are probably pretty high.
that's right. Whereas if you go out into the hinterlands,
Right.
the rate of crime and gun violence is way low. In fact, we all know that all these murders they're concentrated in small pockets. Even within cities, there's blocks and
blocks,
neighborhoods.
right, exactly.
Right.
Places like Chicago, not all of Chicago is a free fire zone.
No.
But
Right.
there are certain blocks in Chicago that you don't go down because you're going to get shot.
I
Right.
have friends that own. The whole family owns about 9 houses on one block, not far from Wrigley Field, and I've been there numerous times. And you would think you were in a small bedroom community.
Sure.
Everybody sits out on their stoops and
Yep.
the folding chairs, and But I've gone out to eat, and you drive 3 blocks away, and Tommy will tell me, we don't go down there. We don't go down there. Those are controlled by the Latin Kings. This is controlled by the Bloods. And you would think doctors, especially, tend to be affluent. You know, you're hard workers. You're going to hospitals late at night. You have a nice car. You live in a nice house. I had a doctor's appointment this morning before the show, and I gave the doctor some tips for his house. He goes, I live in the country. We don't set our alarm when we go to bed at night. I'm like, yeah, what does your wife drive? BMW. What do you drive? A Range Rover. I'm like, people from Patterson don't rob people from Patterson.
Correct, yeah.
Right.
You
You
know,
go
like,
to the bank. You don't go to where the poor people are. You go where the money is.
correct.
Right.
And he's like, oh, I never thought of that, you know? But we have a dog. I'm like, all right, whatever. You know, some
No,
people
so
you
they
just
shoot the
can't
dog
get through.
first,
Yes, some people you just can't get through. So you're fighting that narrative. But obviously, you just gave us some examples. My calling in life is a Second Amendment advocate. I'm turning people every day, and you've heard me say on the show that when people come here and they see how we run this show here, if they leave neutral, that's a win in
absolutely.
our cause. You know what I'm saying, Brian? If somebody comes in here with that perception that we're all hillbillies and rednecks, and they see the place is clean, you guys looked around the place, right? It looks, we keep it nice here,
Very
right?
nice.
And so if that woman or that guy from New York City walk out of here with a different perception, they might not join the NRA or buy guns, but they might be talking around the water cooler 3 weeks from now when people are knocking us down that we're all hillbillies and sexist and racist. They're going to say, well, I don't know about that. I went to a range and it was busy. I sent you a post. We got a review.
Right.
2 liberals.
Yeah.
First of all, let me start out by we're 2 liberals. They blah, 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 blah. I had another review, a woman. First of all, I want to start out, I'm anti-gun. My husband and I came because my husband wanted to come, blah, 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 blah. I had a great time. I'm looking forward to coming back, and I'm bringing my 2 sons to be trained there. They started the sentence that they were anti-gun.
Yeah.
There's no better win than that. So, but you guys know it's an uphill battle, right? Are you?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, one of our writers is a pediatrician, and she writes under a pseudonym because the American Academy of Pediatrics is so negative against Second Amendment stuff.
Yeah.
She's a competitive shooter.
It's like Nazi Germany.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it is.
it is.
Yeah.
It's that whole political correctness, and it's the actual meaning of political correctness, that if you don't fit in with the narrative, they take you out and back and re-educate you. If you don't get re-educated, then they just
You're
shoot
talking about, you're not talking about like a union steel worker who's afraid to write something disparaging about the
Right.
union or something
Right.
where he's going to lose his job. We're talking about physicians, surgeons, people that are educated.
But you have you have everything at stake at that point. I mean, you think that hospitals aren't political?
Oh, they are. They're very political. And the other thing is, hospitals are a dangerous workplace.
Yes, very dangerous.
Nurses are
We've
getting
seen that.
injured all the time.
Yeah.
Just outside of Chicago a few weeks ago, they had that nurse that was kidnapped by the escaped prisoner who he ended up raping her. And finally, when they caught up with the guy, they put him down. But this is a dangerous environment, and we are disarmed in most hospitals. That's why I'm sitting here right now today, is because I got my concealed carry license, and I still have to disarm myself every time I walk into my hospital.
Right.
And we're trying to get that changed, but we're dealing with the corporate environment. The lawyers are telling me, hey, as long as you put your gun-free zone signs up, you're covered. Everything's A-okay.
Sure.
In the meantime, the security guards carrying tasers.
Yeah, that's going to work.
That's
better,
not
though.
security.
Yeah.
And every once in a while there's a firearm scare or whatever, and everybody's running around like they're chickens with their heads cut off.
Well, there's nothing really in a hospital to steal. It's not like there's drugs or anything there.
Yeah, or biological agents.
Or biological agents. Yeah, I never thought about that. I guess I should have.
Or radiologic stuff.
Yeah.
That in Russia, in Budanovsk, they actually took the core of an X-ray machine that has cesium-137.
They stole it?
Yes.
Wow.
And they threatened to use it. They never did use it. It was the Chechen terrorists. And I wrote an article about this stuff that appeared in Concealed Carry Magazine, USCCA's Concealed Carry Magazine last summer, about terrorism worldwide against hospitals. And there was just a terrorist attack several months ago in Afghanistan, and it was an inside job. 2 interns.
It's not going to... just the fact that there are ISIS sympathizers who we know are physicians. So there's nothing that frightens me any more than that. Is someone who really knows very well how to kill people in mass scale.
Right.
And who has access to these things.
And background checks don't help because it's retrospective. It's not prospective.
Yeah.
Sure.
I think that's one of the biggest problems. When we come back, I want to talk about what just happened last week too, and how that plays into the whole maybe we need to carry
Nah.
For many people, walking into a range the first time, it's quite intimidating. So when you walk in through the double doors, the first thing you'll see on your left is a concierge. When people walk in, they can take a tour of the range, or maybe they're coming in for an appointment with one of my instructors or me, and they'll be directed to the right classroom. It kind of softens the entire experience. It makes people feel more at home. As you walk further into the range, you're going to notice we have New Jersey's only indoor 50-yard range, which is heated and air conditioned. The dividers at each port are bulletproof. They're extra wide ports so two people can stand side by side and shoot. There's lights in the ports, so you're well lit. We also have 3 times as much light down range that the average range would have, because I believe it's important that the targets are well lit. Our target retrieval system is all digital. You program how many feet you want to send it out, and it stays there. Both of our ranges are tactically baffled, which means when we run our higher level courses, you can move forward to the firing line and shoot in any direction, and bullets can't escape. When you come out of the 50-yard range, to your left you'll see our large classroom, and go back up to the concierge and make a right. We have 2 smaller classrooms, and those classrooms are for small one-on-one classes, our Build-A-Bear, building an AR. As you enter through there, you'll see that we have a portal with a key to go into our Platinum Lounge. They can sit around and watch TV on the leather chairs or couches, and they can maybe work deals with their clients. And you normally don't see a cafe in an indoor range. In New Jersey, we have this archaic law where you're only supposed to go from your house to the range to the house with no unnecessary deviations. I'm seeing a lot more families coming in now where they have multiple kids, and the wife will stay in the cafe with 1 or 2 kids, and they'll do a handoff. To me, it's very important that people are treated like family, so the bathrooms are very high-end. We use marble and corian and really nice tile and full-length dividers so that people are comfortable when they come in. When you exit the bathroom, you'll see the Gun for Hire radio studio, where Sandy and I tape our show. After you pass that and you make a left, you'll notice our retail area. Over 120 firearms for rent. As you turn 180 degrees, you see the large sections of bulletproof glass. That's our 25-yard range. And inside our 25-yard range, we have 13 ports. Those ports are even wider than the 50-yard range. Both ranges have full-time range safety officers. In case you have any questions or concerns, they're there to help you.
Broadcasting truth from behind the Second Amendment Iron Curtain. You're listening to Gun for Hire Radio, the most listened to Second Amendment broadcast in the nation.
This segment is brought to you by County Line Firearms. CountyLineFirearmsNJ.com is on Route 10 East in East Hanover, across the street from the Best Buy. Go and check it out. Ask for Carlos or ask for Sherry from the SOAR group. She works there part-time as well. County Line Firearms NJ. Sandy, before you get into the shooting, I want to tell you, John, you live in San Antonio, Texas. In New Jersey, legislation was just introduced that it will be illegal to release a balloon into the sky.
We can't have that.
Yes, if you because of environmental issues,
Yeah,
Mylar balloons or anything else.
So we add to
yes.
it. Okay, so slingshots, can't have slingshots.
BB guns.
Can't have BB guns, and
Correct.
now balloons.
Balloons. The legislation, the governor said he's going to veto it, but this is what they're voting on. We're the 5th least preferential state to retire in. We're the 2nd most taxed state. We're the 3rd dirtiest state, et cetera, et cetera.
5 years in a row, the most vacated state.
Yes, in 5 years in a row. And because it's it's a hazard to marine life and birds and stuff. Bill S3288 right now, being sponsored by Van Drew and Cruz Perez. They're sponsoring this legislation. So if you're having a party, guys, and you release a helium balloon, to
if
the
your
public,
kid has
$500
as a child,
fine.
Yeah.
So how do you guys feel about that? It's pretty good, huh?
It's great.
Yes.
Yeah, that's why I say New Jersey is a good place to be from.
Son of a bitch.
And thank you.
Sorry.
I want to thank the listeners, especially Ty, who is giving me some suggestions, and he's asking me some questions. I can't really answer them too well because, if the man is the head of the house, the woman is the neck, and the neck turns the head, and I haven't asked the neck yet. But I like the mountains. She likes the beach. That's why we live at the beach for the past 25 years. And I don't really care. You know, we've been looking in South Carolina. We've been looking in Georgia. Ty's from Georgia, and he's pumping up the state. So anybody, you guys, John spent the past half an hour trying to get me down to San Antonio, which I love. San Antonio.
My brother's in Houston. It's too hot in Houston. How is it in San Antonio?
It's not as humid.
Okay.
Because you're right on the water in Houston, so the humidity is 99%, and it's 100 degrees. But San Antonio, it's it gets to 100 degrees, but the humidity is only 80%. So it's a little bit more tolerable.
One more thing before we get into, Sandy, what you were going to talk about with our politician. Trump curtailed a lot of Obama's openness with Cuba, and he also said publicly that we will not have normal relations with Cuba until we get that cop killer Joanne Chesimard back and the two other criminals that are down there.
There's
kudos
over
to him
70,
for that.
Isn't there 70 criminals?
But there's 3 murderers
right.
that we want, and Chesimard's number 1.
How the hell old
I would
is she?
prefer
She's in her 70s.
Yeah, I would prefer she comes back, even if she lived one day. I'd like her to die in a cell and not in freedom, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
I'd like her to endure the stress of being, transferred back to the U.S., doing the perp walk, going into the cell, eating prison food, and then dying the next day would be enough for me. So kudos to Trump for undoing what Obama did. When Obama was then doing the wave with Raul Castro, why didn't he bring it back? Because Bibi from Israel would have done that. She would have been in the fuselage of the plane. But that's just me. So you want to talk about this? What's his name? Levine? What's his name? This
no, I don't even want to talk about that jackass.
Okay.
I just think that. Right now, there is Tom Massey's got a bill in Congress that deals with, of course, allowing the congressman to carry. In D.C. now.
I say pass it, but go ahead.
No, I would say pass it. His bill.
Yeah.
But he's saying apparently that there is a tremendous backlash from the leadership. So you've got guys like, surprise, surprise, our Speaker of the House, who has been stalling it. They want to really... now's not the right time. And I'm doing air quotes, right?
Yes.
Now's not the right time. We need to do this later. You've got a Congress controlled by Republicans, a Senate controlled by Republicans, a Republican in the White House, and it's still not the right time in order to do anything with this.
No, now is the right time.
Now is the right time, yeah.
In fact, but not just Washington, D.C. We need
Everywhere.
to pass the bill that gives reciprocity to everybody.
And that's
national reciprocity.
Based on what this guy is facing, now he's got 40 co-sponsors, and maybe it's the fact that he's from the Freedom Caucus or whatever, but he's got 40 co-sponsors, and it's being stalled getting into any kind of vote because leadership is stalling this. So what the hell? And this is just for them. It's a them guys sort of thing. He raised this because they were going to just make it okay for congressmen, but he's saying anybody's reciprocity, D.C. must recognize reciprocity from any state. And he's saying, I'm doing that simply because if we just have the congressmen who are part of this, then what's going to happen is they're going to feel safe and goodbye Joe Blow.
Right.
Which is exactly what New Jersey tried to do here too, remember?
Correct. Senator Cardinal introduced legislation where our elected officials could carry because they're always reading up on Animal Farm.
Right.
So,
you mean good enough for me, but not for thee.
Exactly.
Yes, exactly.
George Orwell had a time machine.
So
sure.
I don't know. I've heard him on a couple of talk shows, and he said, the typical, you need to call your congressman. I don't know about you, but I am just so tired of that crap. I am not going to lift. You need to really, really convince me that one of these Congress critters. Why should I lift a finger to help? Why, at this point?
I think
I
think that they should be able to carry. I think it helps our national reciprocity carry law under the Equal Rights Act. Why should they carry and why not us?
Right. I think if the national reciprocity passes, that means that people like me can come here and carry, but you can't.
Yes.
Well, then you can use the equal protection in your lawsuit.
Yeah, correct.
So I think help is coming to New Jersey, and I think key to that is passing the national reciprocity. if that gets passed, then I think help will be here. Help will be in New Jersey, California, Hawaii, New York, all those places
Maryland.
Yeah.
The big 6. The other 44 don't care. So, Sandy, that's my tact. As soon as I read it, I'm like, yeah, let them carry. It'll just help us. It's one. Even Knappen agrees. Let them get their carry permits, because when it goes before the Supreme Court, for us, we're going to say, wait a minute. 44 other states can carry in New Jersey. All of our elected officials could carry in New Jersey, but us serfs can't.
Right.
So how could the Supreme Court deny that? And you know the way Trump's going, he's going to get 2 more Supreme Court justices. I'm telling you right now.
And so there's going to be a majority of conservative.
This Russia narrative it's losing steam now. It's losing steam.
They're trying everything they can. I mean, I've never seen anybody,
steam.
To the point that you've got me actually defending Donald Trump.
It's losing steam. Now, listen, Trump's been doing a lot of good things. If he lowers the corporate tax rate to 15%, if he gets Joanne Chesimard back, he did the groundwork.
How about do away with the personal income tax? How about that?
Well,
let's just roll it back to, let's get rid of every progressive thing that's ever hit this.
Not going to happen with the swamp, okay, until we have term limits. What's her name? Feinstein turns 88 today, or 84 or something. John McCain
She's
is 80.
Fossilized.
Yes, John McCain is 80. Loretta Weinberg's 141. So John, I'm reading about DRGO.us, DRGO. So it was started in 1994 by Dr. Timothy Wheeler from California. How does that happen?
Yeah, in fact, our current leadership is in California as well.
Wow.
And so
in the battleground.
Yeah, but let's face it, that's where you need to be.
Yes.
Our editor for our website and our blog is in New York State. He's in upstate New York. He's outside of Rochester. He's a psychiatrist. So we have people in our leadership that are behind the Iron Curtain.
Yeah.
And fortunately, I'm in a Second Amendment friendly state.
Yeah, we hate you.
I'm sorry. But I want you to be just like us. So
I know.
I'm working towards that. We're trying to get everybody to get our constitutional rights recognized, and that's really why we're out there. We're putting out the information. We're an educational organization, and so what we're trying to do is get that info out and try to sway people, hearts and minds.
That's what it's all about.
I'm hungry now. He said hearts.
I know. Minds too.
Everything I do gonna be funky from now on.
Time and memories. The 2 most precious things you can give someone. No cell phones, no video games, no electronic devices. No interruptions. Just your favorite gun, a couple boxes of ammo, and time spent together. The folks at Gun for Hire Woodland Park Range believe there's no time like the present, and no present like time. Step through their doors, and you'll feel time stand still. It may look like a luxury shooting range, but what they really sell is the perfect day, and perfect memories are made from perfect days. Gun for Hire Woodland Park Range, where family memories begin.
This segment is brought to you by Gun Sitters. GunSitters.com and their military division Weapons Guard is on Route 10 East in the Pine Plaza, below the original Pancake House and the Eye Doctor.
That don't suck.
No. Check out GunSitters.com. Great place to store your firearms temporarily, long-term, moving, domestics, divorce, problems in the house. Literally have saved hundreds of people from getting their guns seized by the prosecutor and thrown in a 55-gallon drum in an evidence room somewhere. If you're having domestic issues and she calls the cops, or he calls the cops and says they threaten you with a gun and there's a gun present in the home, you're done. So if you start to sense any of that, I recommend you swing by Gun Sitters and drop all of your stuff off. If you're in the military and you're being deployed or transferred for any reason, Gun Sitters Military Division Weapons Guard will store them for you for free until you come back home safe. That is funded by donations from GunSitters.com. So I just want to say thank you for that. Scott Bach's NRA petition is here. So please come on down and sign it. If you're a life member of 5 years or more, Doc's going to sign it today. NRA ground troops in New Jersey. Ricardo is going to be here July 22nd all day. We deal with a lot of stuff going on with the state of New Jersey. The NRA has 5 people, boots on the ground. 5 people, boots on the ground for this election cycle. Anyone but Phil Murphy. John, you got the floor, or the mic, or the stage.
Okay, well, one of the things that Doctors for Responsible Gun Ownership has done recently is we did a white paper, or position paper, whatever you want to call it, in favor of the firearm suppressor, the firearms, what is it, the Suppressor Hearing Act, right?
The Hearing Protection
Hearing
Act?
Protection Act. There it is.
I love that.
Yeah, and so what we did was we actually used our resources. We have ear, nose, and throat doctors in our organization.
Gee, that's something. Somebody who actually knows what they're talking about, writing a paper.
And not only that, but Tim Wheeler, our founder, is an ear, nose, and throat surgeon.
Wow, that's pretty good.
And so there were 4 surgeons that wrote this, 2 of whom are neuro-otologists, which deal with the neural aspects of healing. And so we talk about noise-induced hearing loss, and that it is a true public health issue.
That's the real public health issue.
Exactly. Yeah. Unlike guns, it's true. And there's a causal relationship between loud noise exposure and irreversible hearing loss. And this has been recognized by medicine and the U.S. government for a long time.
And just about every gun owner over the age of 50.
Yes, the NRA salute. You hold your hand cupped behind your ear.
Right. And this noise-induced hearing loss is permanent and untreatable. Because it actually is damage to the hair cells in the cochlea of the inner ear, and those are that generate the electric current that goes through the nerve cells. That's how you perceive hearing, is the vibration of those hair cells. They are actually damaged by noise greater than 140 decibels.
Gotcha.
So 140 decibels is that cutoff range. So a single exposure to greater than 140 decibels can cause immediate permanent hearing loss.
I'm down.
Yeah. And then there's also kind of the mid-grade noise. If you have cumulative exposure, things like lawnmowers and jackhammers and things like that, and the the 120.
Now, Doc, what if I knew somebody when they were in their early 20s, happened to be in a car with a few other guys with the windows up, and a 9mm may have gone off in the car?
Right.
Would that person have sustained hearing damage?
How old was this person?
In their 20s.
In their 20s.
Yeah.
So the statute of limitations.
I don't know. That's why I'm.
It was
saying.
in another state, though.
That's right. It was in Texas. It
was in Texas that this happened.
I don't know.
Theoretical thing.
Well, the interesting thing. The interesting thing is that a 9mm pistol. The noise from a 9mm is like 171 decibels.
That's pretty loud.
You're done. Oh, so I'm
okay.
deaf. I'm done.
Yeah.
I mean, that person's deaf.
That person wouldn't be able to hear.
And the other thing is, it's not just the noise, but it's actually the blast wave.
Yeah.
And the blast wave actually has like 1,000 times more force on the eardrum, the bones, the oval window, the anatomy of the inner and middle ear. So that's what suppressors actually work on. They actually dampen that blast wave, and so that's why there's a much more effective.
But now here's the problem that you're fighting.
Sure.
Because of TV, the average person thinks a silenced gun sounds like this.
Right.
They don't realize it's still loud.
Oh yeah, no, it goes from 170 decibels to 130 decibels,
which is louder than any music your kids have ever played in their room.
A firecracker is 145 decibels, and a jackhammer is like 110 decibels.
Okay,
so and a beeping a horn is 120. So if you're standing next to a car and the guy lays on the horn, that's 120 decibels.
But we're fighting the media Hollywood narrative,
of course,
where we're going to be ninjas now.
Right.
I could shoot 80 people and no one will hear
anything. No one will hear it.
Just the brass falling on the ground. Cling, 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 cling.
A 22 is fairly quiet if you have a suppressed 22.
Yeah, I wasn't going to bring that up, but now you just gave me a head.
But all the center fire firearms that we use are very loud, and instead of being, it's not ting ting or tip tick or whatever, it's bang bang. It's just not as loud.
The Israeli Mossad used a custom-made 22 semi-auto with subsonic 22 rounds, wrapped in a newspaper. One agent walking towards you would bump you on your left side. The Mossad agent would come up behind you from the right, and he would put 2 behind your ear. And it would go click, click, and the brass would get caught in the folded newspaper. He'd put the newspaper, walk away. The other guy would walk away. They'd get on a flight, go back to Israel. This was after World War II when the Mossad went out to get all of the German officers that fled to Central and South American countries, if you read the history of the Mossad.
Wow.
Yeah, and very minimal bleeding behind the ear. Many times someone would fall to the ground. They would think it was a heart attack, and they wouldn't find the holes, the entry wounds, until they were like in the hospital or, autopsy or something. So pretty cool, right?
Yeah, and those 22 rounds bounce around inside your skull.
That was the whole goal, right behind the ear, and let them bounce around the brain, and they wouldn't exit. Yeah. So it was
like
quick,
a little mix master.
Quick and dirty.
Right.
I had to just add that, John, because I'm morbid. Go ahead.
No, but I think that's good. So, and when we say you're shooting your rifle, okay, and you bring that rifle up to your cheek weld, a lot of times your stock will bump your earmuffs,
right,
and you'll lose your seal, and you're going to get hit with a pretty good sound wave, and a lot of people get their hearing damage that way. Plus, suppressors also protect bystanders, the person standing around.
Right.
Correct.
Who usually gets it worse.
Right. Well, that's because the stapedius muscle clamps down on the stapes and dampens it. So if you know you're going to shoot, your
Speak
brain,
English, John.
Yeah, well, it's part of the inside of the little bones in your ear. There's
now
a little
I'm
muscle.
hungrier. I'm hungrier now.
Because it's a little piece of meat in there.
Well, yeah.
It's a little piece of meat on a wishbone. Okay.
Yeah.
But
so
that muscle will clamp down and actually dampen the impulse of the sound.
Now who's 6 years old?
Right. But the person sitting next to you doesn't have that.
That's right.
And so it's a total surprise for them.
Yeah.
And so that stapedius muscle doesn't dampen the sound. So they're going to get a worse hearing problem than you will. You'll both sustain some damage, but the person who's next to you will get it worse because their protective mechanism, it's kind of like that third eyelid thing, in some animals that it will protect.
Sure.
Well, this is part of your internal protection mechanism.
Well, it's funny, when we first met and we were at a different range, Anthony used to work out of a different range, and I had electronic hearing protection on. And we went into the range, and a guy in the next booth was shooting a 308. I still have
it still hurts.
Loss of hearing.
Yeah, it hurts.
Right. It was unbelievable. And he's like, "What the hell? You shouldn't be wearing those things in here." And I'm like, "How did I know? I paid a lot of money for them." He's like, "That's crap."
I'm not a doctor, but I tell people when they're indoor range, they should wear muffs because sound enters from around the ear.
Yeah.
Yes, plugs and muffs too, especially children. Because people come in there just wearing plugs or those little electronic. Get the hell out of here with that.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is there's bone conduction too.
Right.
You get actually the shock wave hits the bone in
your
skull.
You're not calling him a bonehead, are you?
Well, maybe. I don't know.
The bone. So go ahead.
So anyway, the bottom line here is that we need to use this information. And so one of the things that you can do is you can take this paper and get it off of DRGO.us. You can download it and read it first. Digest the information that's there. And then what you can do is take a PDF copy of that and send it to your federal representative and your state senator.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Look, this is information that you need. This is educational ammunition, okay?
Right.
And so we can use data like this to make an argument in favor of the Hearing Protection Act.
Because data like this has been, for decades now, been used against us by the health professions, the medical professions, and by people who have an agenda. It's always about the money. Follow the money. And in public health, it was always about funding. So if you wanted to get funded, you did whatever the congressman or senator or whoever it was, whatever the cause celeb was for that week, is what you did because you got funded. It's always about follow the money. Here, we're just talking about common sense gun laws.
Common sense.
Yeah, there's not a lot of that though. Sometimes in medicine.
No, I mean you're in Texas. Do you see some anti-gun creep in Texas?
Oh yeah,
you got to keep fighting it down.
It depends on where you're at. In Austin, there's quite a bit because Austin is
artsy-tartsy.
Well, it's people have moved from California to Austin,
right?
And they want to bring their utopia.
Yeah, they infect. And Houston is another place. and Dallas is starting to get.
Dallas has been like that. Nobody from there is from there.
You're looking at the big cities, and they're all Democrat controlled.
And it's by design, too. I think they just don't like the fact that it's red. And, a lot of people from the Northeast are moving south. I know I feel that. I've been doing a lot of work in Charleston and Greenville, South Carolina, Atlanta, and everybody's like, you really don't want to move here, do you?
Move to Paraguay.
Paraguay. That's good. That's far enough south, don't you think? I think so. All right, coming back.
Are you still fighting crime the old-fashioned way? Now cut crime in half the time with a fast, easy money-saving solution. Introducing the Shipbaggerator, this year's all-new crime deterrence marvel from the makers of Gun for Hire Radio. The Shipbaggerator's compact design makes it quicker and easier to use than jail cells, parole boards, lethal injections, or those costly, outdated electric chairs. Just park your Shipbaggerator in the town square, open the lid, and drop the ship bag in. It's that simple. There's no wrong way to use it. Back and forth, side to side, round and round, ship bags go in and come out as a mound. Super sharp stainless steel blades that never need sharpening do all the work. Slice ship bags so thin they only have one side. Built strong to last, they slice through even the toughest ship bags. Murderers, rapists, child molesters, no problem. Just set it to high, and the Shipbaggerator's powerful patented motor will handle them 3 at a time. No muss, no fuss, no bogging down. Just pop the top, drop them in, and watch as the powerful counter-rotating blades pull any size ship bag through at 2 feet per second. Amazing! Cleanup is a breeze. Just rinse with a fire hose or run it through the car wash. There's even a pulse setting for serial offenders. Save up the worst and delight the crowds on the 4th of July. Who needs fireworks when you've got the Shipbaggerator? And it's portable, so you can take it anywhere. But wait, there's more. For a limited time, we'll send you 4 additional sets of special stainless steel blades that never need sharpening. So now you can chop, slice, dice, and cube. The Shipbaggerator and 4 specialty blades, all for the same low, low price. Unbelievable. So don't wait. Call and get yours today.
The Shipbaggerator is available only at Gun for Hire Radio. Operators are standing by.
Crank it on, crank it up, let's go, crank it up, it's Gun for Hire Radio.
Do not forget September 23rd, Saturday, September 23rd, Princeton, New Jersey, njsafecon.net. njsafecon.net. John Edwards will be there. Gun for Hire Radio will be there. The Who's Who will be there. Roger Garrett from Purely Water. Dr. Renucci donated to the cause. Jay Moore, Plumbing, Heating, Mechanical donated. If you have a product or service that you want to donate, you want to buy a little ad, people keep things in the family. njsafecon.net. This year we're going to get 1,000 or more people there. There's plenty of advertising opportunities. John, I'm going to bring a stack of these down there as well. Do you discriminate against dentists? Can dentists?
No,
or
we love
doctor?
dentists.
Dentists can join this?
And not only just dentists, but any kind of healthcare professional. So
Okay.
nurses, technicians, EMTs. We have people actually that aren't even in the medical profession.
Psychologists.
Psychologists,
like that.
absolutely, yeah. Anybody in the healthcare profession.
Dr. Pirelli. I used to play the game Operation when I was a kid. Do I qualify?
Hey, listen, for
Look,
you, we'd
you
make
got
it
money?
exciting.
No,
Send in the dues. You
listen,
qualify, buddy.
These guys have filed briefs for the Emerson case in 99, Heller in 2008, Peruta 2014 to present, Wolf Schlager versus Florida. Was it good with that?
That's a Doc versus Glock.
Okay, Glock versus Docs 2011 till present. Media appearances. They have social media and everything, and it's DRGO, DRGO.us. You can't really forget that. Everybody should visit the site, send them a message, like them on Twitter, like them on Facebook. because we should spread the word. And guess what? When you go to your doctor, let your doctor know about this.
Yeah, let him know.
Let your
ask him if he's a member.
Know about it, and ask
him or her if they're a member.
You know me now. I'm going to be shaming all the doctors that come in here. So
and we're working on a Second Amendment friendly physician referral service too. So if you want to,
if you want a family,
yeah, exactly,
that's nice.
Exactly. So that's something that's in the works. It's not up and running yet. But,
that's a good one.
But we're working on that. And I'm the membership director, so my job is to recruit. So here I am on the radio. So all you healthcare professionals out there, please take a look at our website, see what we write. Right now there's a series of articles on why firearms violence is not a public health issue, and it's written by our director. And I think there's a lot of good arguments there that I think people will find, oh, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
And even if you just go and read them, and now you're armed with the information and intelligence to be able to counter some of the arguments.
Right. It's intellectual ammunition. That's what I like
Doc,
to call it.
what, I mean, your thoughts when they physicians ask if you have guns in the house on questionnaires. What should I answer?
Well, there is actually an article on the first page of DRGO.us that
So
helps you
on.
answer that question. And this is what I like to say. It's not necessarily the party line, but I would ask your physician. First of all, the first thing you can do is say no and just let it go.
Let it go. Yeah.
Okay. But if you really want to, so doctor, which organization certifies you in providing health or safety, gun firearm safety information? And does your insurance company know that you're practicing outside of your scope of medical practice?
Oh, man. Is this on the website? It's on the website?
That's not on the website, but it isn't.
No, they have to be a little more politically correct on the
but
website.
I love that.
But David Kodria actually came up with a form that you can give your physician, and it's just fantastic.
David Kodria is a big Second Amendment.
Yeah, he's a great guy. He was one of the guys who broke Fast and Furious.
Yes.
If you don't know who he is.
Well, you know, we mentioned him on the radio show 6 years ago when Fast and Furious started.
Right. We've had David on the radio show.
Yeah. And David's a good friend, and he's a good guy. But he and a retired now late sheriff from Los Angeles County came up with this form, and I just when he told me about it, and I got a look at it. I smiled. I had a smile for a week.
What's on the form? What does it say?
It says basically there's two boxes. One that says, I am fully aware of all of the research and scientific evidence of why firearms are useful in self-defense and blah blah blah. Or I know absolutely nothing about this, but I'm still giving you advice anyway. And then there's a part where it says my insurance company does or does not cover me on my advice. It's just fantastic.
That's great.
It's absolutely fantastic, and I love it. I mean, it's really good.
We got to hit where it hurts.
Oh, yes. Absolutely. And so, really, if you came across with that, you could just imagine the look on that that person's face when you hit him with, well, does your insurance company know that you're practicing outside of your scope of practice?
But you know what's going to happen?
And if I sue you because I'm harmed by following your advice,
right?
Are you going to be covered, or is it going to be out of your pocket?
Yeah, right.
And then all of a sudden, the little wheels start turning, and the eyeballs start going around in circles, and then they shut up and they go on to the next thing.
And then as soon as you leave, they tell the administrative girl, get rid of those forms, throw those questions out.
Right.
Okay.
Well, and when we look at this stuff and we talk about asking people about whether they own guns. First of all, the article talks about something called a boundary violation. And that's an ethical misstep on the part of the doctor, using the physician-patient relationship to push a political agenda.
Right, exactly.
That's akin to having sex with your patient.
Well, that's why they're trying to push this.
You can't have sex with the patient?
Sorry. It screws everything up.
Yeah, it does screw everything up.
Yeah,
but I mean, that's an ethical boundary violation, too. That's another example. It's a serious thing. And so you can also push the ethical boundary violation thing on the physician and say, we need to stop this line of questioning right now. This is an ethical boundary violation. I do not need to hear your political opinion. Mm-hmm. We are here because I have a broken femur, not because I have a gun in my home. And they talk about safety. The American Academy of Pediatrics pushes the unload your gun, store it in a separate place from the ammunition and stuff. Well, that's really great if you want to quote unquote prevent an accidental shooting, but it doesn't do very well when the guy's kicking down your door at 2 o'clock in the morning and you need to get into your quick release safe and get your gun.
But if it saves one life.
Yeah, well, how many lives are saved by people being armed?
That doesn't matter.
Yeah, how many lives are
Look at the husband and
lost
wife in
because
Georgia.
of-
Those
Right,
two
yeah.
escaped convicts that killed the
Right.
officers.
Yeah.
They were armed citizens, armed homeowners, and they held them till the cops came.
Right.
In New Jersey,
Yeah.
we die.
Yeah.
Right.
In New Jersey,
Absolutely.
we die.
Absolutely, and these people were, they were actually running around while I was down in Madison, Georgia. It came on the news that they were, two escaped armed and dangerous.
Right.
But it's here. You're right. It would happen in New Jersey. We would never. They would find our bodies somewhere.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Okay, John, you got the stage. What else you want to talk about? I can't wait to go on the website. I'll sign in. I'll make a donation. Sandy, I need your credit card. Go ahead, John.
So the other thing is that we're part of the Second Amendment Foundation. So I think
Which is
everybody
good.
needs to aware that we are
I
fall
love
under the
Alan
umbrella.
Gottlieb.
Yeah, and so Alan, their organization gives us kind of logistical support. So Second Amendment Foundation I think is important. We participate at Gun Rights Policy Conference. I've spoken there for the last probably 4 years now. Of course, the first time I spoke, I had to follow Massad Ayub.
That's a tough act
That
to
was
follow.
no
that
fun.
sucks.
That was
Yeah.
no fun. But the bottom line here is my interest is gun-free zones in hospitals, and I think that they're immoral. First of all, because they disarm all the law-abiding people. And,
Well, look at the
of course, your
psychiatrist.
whole thing is a gun-free zone. Here,
Right. Right. And it's without precedent. I mean, look at the psychiatrist in Philly.
Yeah.
Who was murdered by his patients. It just
The rates were too expensive? Or?
was a little. Yeah, he was a little.
Right, but then there was
upset.
the other psychiatrist who defended himself after the social worker was killed.
Right. Exactly.
Yes.
Yes.
And so that's the difference.
And then got hung out to dry.
No, he didn't actually.
He didn't?
He actually the DA actually said that he saved that he actually saved a lot of people, and they refused to prosecute him because the law in Pennsylvania is the gun-free zone. It doesn't carry the weight of law. In Texas, the gun-free zone signs carry the weight of law.
What about the suits? It's kind of interesting at the hospital. What kind of ramifications came from that?
I don't know if there were any suits. You're talking about
No, the guys with the clipboards and suits.
Oh, those suits.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, those guys are they're corporate. They're going to go with the kind of the corporate line,
Yeah.
and that's the difficulty with getting this stuff changed. Ideally,
Right.
what I would think was to do something like not only arm but train your people.
Yeah.
Doing something like the FASTER program, like they have in Ohio and now in Colorado, where you train not only firearms skill but also emergency first aid, and have trauma kits pre-positioned throughout the hospital.
Well, we've changed our mindset over the past maybe 100 years from where we used to fight until now where we hide and cower like they do in Britain.
Running cow, mate.
Yeah.
Listen to this. Dr. Pirelli will be here July 23rd with Psychology and Firearms, and the flyers will be here for DRGO. I'm going to make copies of these. You'd think John would have brought 400 or 500 of them. He only brought like 10, cheap bastard. The other thing is, everybody in this room is students of Massad Ayub. Massad Ayub is going to be here at Gun for Hire South August 3rd to 6th for Mag 40 and Mag 20 live fire. You guys have a good time with Massad Ayub? John, how do you like being a student of Ayub?
Oh, I love Mass. He goes above and beyond what you would expect.
So don't miss it. We only have, I think, 2 or 3 slots left for the entire course, and then we have a few for just a classroom. So go on our website and check out ayub.com. I want to plug one more time shamelessly www.drgo.us, drgo.us. Everybody out there, go on there, print out a copy, go on the front page of the site and see how to respond to your doctor when he asks you knuckleheaded questions. And John, Dr. Edeen, I just want to thank you so much, and we will be spending time next year at the NRA convention. Where is it?
It's in Dallas.
It's in Dallas. Oh, so you're driving.
Wow.
I'm
probably.
driving. I'll have wheels.
That's
We'll go out
pretty
and have
good.
some fun.
Nice.
Yeah.
Jimmy and I are flying out. We're going to set up a time where we're going to hang out.
Good.
All right. Thank you. Sandy, back to you.
Well, you've done it again. You've wasted yet another perfectly good hour listening to Gun for Hire Radio. Gun for Hire Radio is a Counterthink Media production. The music used in this broadcast was managed by Cosmo Music, LLC, New York, New York, under license of Broadcast Music Incorporated. I'm Sandy Bararni. On behalf of my co-host, Master Trainer Anthony Calandro, and the rest of the crew here at Gun for Hire Radio, we thank you, Doctor, for coming in and sharing all the information. Guys, come on. If you're in the health professions, Winston, tell them. You got to join this thing. Winston. He said join. DRGO.us. Love you guys. See you next week.